The Soviet Union had been developing atomic science since 1930 and had been working on developing its military uses as of the early 40s. But after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it began taking this task much more seriously, multiplying the pace and manpower behind the project by many times, and establishing several research and development institutes. Though much of the German nuclear potential was on the western side, controlled after the fall of Hitler by the United States, the Soviet authorities did bring some of the German equipment left in Eastern Germany, as well as some of the scientists who had worked on the German bomb under the Nazis, to help develop a Soviet bomb. By summer of 1949, the Soviet Union conducted its first nuclear bomb test. By now, the world was divided into two camps: the Eastern Socialist Bloc, controlled by the USSR, and the Western Capitalist Bloc, controlled by the United States and Great Britain. The following 45 years were a period known as the Cold War, a time of intense animosity between the Soviet Union and the West, during which an arms development race took place, sometimes at fever pitch. This led to the space race, in which the Soviets launched the first satellite and the first man into space, while the Americans landed a manned ship on the moon. Something the Russians mysteriously never succeeded in doing. One episode of the Cold War that stands out particularly vividly is the Cuban Missile Crisis in October of 1962. It all started a year earlier when the United States placed 15 missiles on a base in Turkey, a NATO country, within 10 minutes flight time from major cities in Western Russia and a number of Soviet strategic centers. Fidel Castro's revolution in Cuba had proven successful only 3 years before. And while Cuba was suffering under constant military threat and economic embargo by the United States, Castro was constantly asking the Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev to increase Soviet military presence on the island. When the American missiles in Turkey came to Khrushchev's attention, he decided to give Castro what he was asking for. The increase of Soviet military presence and offensive weapons in Cuba, which presumes that nuclear warheads could be used against the United States, caused the United States to surround the island nation to prevent the Soviets from coming and going. The situation continued to escalate until one day called Black Saturday, when the United States and the USSR came within minutes of launching nuclear attacks on each other. October 27, 1962, the only day in history when the United States was officially in DEFCON 2 status, is considered the one day when the world was closer than ever before or since to a nuclear war. It is unclear how militarily powerful Russia actually is today. Expert opinions on this are polarized, and only a handful of people in the world know the true situation. Of course, they will never tell us. One thing is certain, however. Given the proxy wars between Russia and the United States taking place over the last few years in former Soviet republics, as well as the expansion of NATO over the last 25 years all the way to Russia's borders, only the fact that Russia has nuclear weapons prevents another all-out invasion of Russia's sovereign territory from the West. If you were in the unfortunate position of being a Russian leader, what would you do? Tune in next time on Understand Russia.